Hey everyone, Paul ISM. Welcome to part 4 of. Sorry, it's not part 4, it's part 3. Damn it. Hey everyone, Paul ISL. Welcome to part 3 of our Model Factory Hiro 112 Lancia Delta HF Integrale Evo 92 video builds. This is the penultimate part of the initial stages of the engine build. Is that right? Penultimate? I think so. If it isn't, I don't know. Anyway, so it's 3 parts to get to this stage. A lot of work. We're up to step 4 in the instruction manual, so we've got a lot of work ahead of us. But we're going to get it built today to where I can get to with the engine and then move on to elsewhere. So we've got a wash to put on, we've got some hoses to put on. We're going to repaint that silver on the engine cover about 12 times, as you do. Yeah, we're going to crack on and get this done. So let's jump in and let's get going with the build. Hey everyone, please subscribe to the channel, click the bell notifications, get notified of our latest videos, give the video a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and leave a comment. I do read and appreciate every comment you guys and girls leave behind. I may not reply to them all, but they are all appreciated. And there's a link in the description of the video that takes you to a big long list of all handy videos and a lot of the products I use in my videos. You now have the chance to support the video content creation by using Patreon or the PayPal me link in the description down below. All the videos always remain free to watch. This is just your chance to help support the videos. So we're back out where we left off in part 2. So we've got the majority of our engine assembled. We've still got lots of ancillary parts to put on and lots of work ahead. So dipsticks, this is the engine oil dipstick this will be. It's got 2 location points, one at the very bottom and one just at the top. So just a quick test fit. I widen the hole to fit it. Let's have a little look at where it sits. Looks to be about right to me. A little bit of a be gentle with the white metal. It does bend, but it can shear off as well, so be very, very careful. And a couple of precise drops of CA glue. We'll put the bottom one in first. Get that in place. And then line up the top one, have a look. Yep, it lines up well. And then grab our CA glue again. Little strategic drop just in there. Do love these precision bottles lids, they're very good. Very, very good. Pop it in, hold it for a second, let the glue grab it. And we're good to go. We need to paint the tip of these, the actual pull ring, yellow. We'll do that a little bit later on. And then we're on to some of the ancillary components of the auxiliary belts and pulleys and what have you. So we've got all sorts going on here. We've got an alternator. I'm assuming there's a water pump. I'm not even going to pretend to know what the parts are. This is obviously the alternator. Now, no real positive fitting point to this. It just literally fits on one end and hovers. It was a little bit disappointing. Made it a little bit more tricky. So I just held it in place till the glue got a hold of it. But all the other parts, all the little belts and tensioners, just glue in. There are specific ones for specific areas, so make sure you confirm which one is which before you glue, because there are several and they are in a particular order. So make sure you've got them all in the right order. Now we've got some lovely, I don't know how it works, UV printed auxiliary belts to go on here, which are pretty cool. There's 2 of them, one to go on the top, one to go on the bottom. So we'll show putting the bigger one on in a little bit. And I think this is like an engine mount bracket. Just get this in place here. So beauty of the Bob Smiths is it's not an instant grab. You get a little bit of working time. You can get things back off. So if you're not 100% sure, always confirm it before you commit to glue. But at least you know with this stuff, you've got a few seconds to get it back off if you make a mistake. So if you're quick, you can rectify an issue quickly. But like I say, these precision tips, absolute bargain. 300 for £10 off Amazon. Cut them to fit your bottle. It's just a precise way of applying such a small amount of glue exactly where you need. I'm going to update my Amazon store and put all these new products in I've had lately. I've also bought some new CA glues, which you'll see in future videos. different types, and they're just coming in useful, all these different products and what have you. So I will update my Amazon store before this video is updated, and you can go through and have a look at anything new. All the newer products are at the top, so it'll tell you anything new that's added. But for now, Bob Smith, this is doing the job well. Like I say, it's not an instant grab, so you do have to hold it for a few seconds. But overall, it's been doing a good job. And obviously, we're still going to give all this a wash, which would give it a bit more of a less uniform look. And obviously bring out some of the detail to the raised and recessed surface areas. So as I've explained, we're going to go in depth on this. I normally skip a lot of this to show you, but here we are. This is where we're at now. So probably what, 90% of the engine assembled for the parts 1 to 4, and there's still a whole load more to go later on. So that's it. Now these are the UV printed. So we've got some cable ties there, and this is the second belt. The first one's on. I didn't hit record, so I missed me getting it on there, unluckily. But luckily, we have this one, so we're going to catch this one. Now, make sure you put this the right way around with the tooth belt down over the top, and it does run in a particular way. So I found it easier to start at the top, a little dab of CA glue, pop it over the top, glue it in place, and then work your way around the engine. I found that the easiest thing to do, but it will meet up, so try and get it to meet up somewhere. So it probably is best to kind of find the end first. So I think I went with the bottom here. There we go. So I opted to put it in place here first, and then follow the instructions or looking at any online photos, we can see which way round the belt. Well, it slithers through like a snake, doesn't it? The old auxiliary belts, they go through a particular order with the tensions and that. So we need to make sure we're getting the right order. I'll get hell. There'll be hell to pay if I get this wrong. So a little dab of glue, a yabba dabba do. Make sure we got it on the right way. There is a little bit of a flat piece of the belt, so that'll be our end point. So I'm just going to get it in place, let the glue just grab it quickly, and then switch position, grab the tweezers, and like I say, get a little bit of time to work it. So we can then line it up, get stuck to the tweezers, which is always good. There we go. And there we are, that's that glued in place. And then as we go, we just put strategic glue points here and there as we go around, until we get it all in place. I've got some activator ready. I'm just going to hit it and touch it, just to get this to dry, because it does take a while to go off. We don't want to be moving around and putting glue everywhere it shouldn't be. But there we go, there's one point done. And then looking at our instructions, we can see which way around it needs to go. So quick strategic camera stop and restart to make sure we don't run out halfway through filming this. We grab our glue, we're going to get a cocktail stick for this because we want to just put the tiniest little line of it there. And we grab our tweezers and keeping it taut without pulling too tight. You don't want to snap this, it does snap easily. Ask me how I know. And then we're just going to follow it around, follow the instructions to see which route it goes. And if you see a point, we can get a bit of CA glue, put a little bit of strategic CA glue in place to hold it. There you go. Definitely not got that toothpick in my mouth. 100%. That is not in my mouth at all. It is though. Honestly, it is. And then gently. So it is brittle, but you do get a little bit of play in it. But don't be pulling on it, don't be tugging on it, and just make sure if you commit to glue, you have got it the right way. This engine's starting to weigh an absolute ton now. This whole model is going to be immensely heavy when it's done. And again, just line it up. Like I said, I know I'm going in depth. I said I would on this, so we are going to linger a little bit more. We've got all the time in the world on this build. We've spent enough money on it. We're going to get our full money's worth out of the kit, and that's going to go through with the videos too. So hopefully I'm not waffling along too much. If I am, let me know in the comments, and I'll speed these sections up. I can always put these on double speed. It's no hassle at all to speed it up, but I just thought you'd like to see the process in kind of its entirety. Now, we're going to put a little bit down the bottom here because we're going to curve it round. It then goes around the alternator pulley. So we just pull it straight, and there we go, and fold it round. Like so. Make sure it's pushed in. And then we take it up and over this tensioner. Again, like so, and then wrap it around the bottom. So I told you it wasn't in my mouth. Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's definitely in my mouth there. At least not licking it. And then we need to fold it back round and meet up where we started earlier. So we just get it round, keep it taut, keep it lined up, and then if it fits perfectly, like almost millimeter perfect, it fits in place. Again, smallest little dab, just where we need it. And fold it around. Now there's a smaller belt further up. For the instructions you'll see, but this is the bigger one. I thought this was the more interesting one to see anyway. And there we go. There's that auxiliary belt in place. Needs a smallest little dab of glue there to get the very end. Line it up. Push it. There we go. Flush. Job done. So it looks really good, that. How this UV belt is printed, I've no idea. But it's very realistic. The cable ties look really good. And it adds another dimension to it. It certainly does. And there we go. That's that in place. Any excess glue we can very quickly wipe off. Like so. And there we go. That's that in place. Looks really good. Happy with that. Top one's in place as well. But the main big one is what we saw there. And yeah, it looks good. Once we get a wash on this, it's really going to start to pop. And really show its detail. Now, the drive shafts. Now, funny story. Currently as we speak, I've got the back end of this car together. All the differential, the rear suspension, the brakes. These are the wrong prop shafts on the front. I'm putting the rear ones in here by accident. I only figured it out today. So all along, I was going to glue these in place. And something in my head was like, don't use CA glue. And I didn't. Thankfully, I didn't. I used PVA-based glue in a little bit. So I'm kind of glad of that because they'd have been in and we would have wrecked them. So yeah, if you're not 100% sure, don't commit to glue. And certainly don't commit to CA glue. Oil filter, very nice decal to go around this. So we're just going to place it so we can see most of it in its most visible position. So first model factory Hiro decal we've used. And to be fair, went down no problem at all. Nice and quick off the backing sheet. Nice and conformable. No issues at all. Hit it with UMP normal decal solution. Got all the moisture out. Job done. Dipstick ends, we're going to use LP8. Actually, it's not. I know what it is. I changed. It's actually C329, I think. I'm pretty sure I went for a Mr. Hobby colour instead because I didn't want to be too lemon yellow. So I think it's C329 this. Like I say, I'm way ahead on these videos. This has been filmed for over a week. So my memory's a little bit sketchy on what colours I've used. So do apologise, but I've gotten way ahead on these videos. I've already got part 4 filmed and almost ready to go. So I am way ahead on these. Like I said, the first bunch of footage got 3 videos. So yes, we've got a good head start on these. And if you're watching this on RSM, if you want a release on the videos, become a patron. You get 2 weeks early access and you'll see these 2 weeks before everybody else. So, you know, there's lots already there you haven't seen. And if you are looking to be a patron and you're watching, make sure you leave a comment down below and give me a thumbs up on the video as well. Even though it's an unlisted video, leave a comment. Let me know you've watched it. Let me know your thoughts. And yes. Now, we've got some alloy fittings to paint here. Some of the anodized fittings. So they've already been painted in silver. I think we did this before, didn't we? On a few other colours. So we've got clear red, LP, I think it's 52 and LP 68 clear blue is what we've got. I'm just going to hand paint these, alternate between red and blue between the fittings. And this is a big like pipe cable that goes between 2 parts. So just paint it as appropriate as you can. Try and be as close. But at the end of the day, with parts like this, you could airbrush them, you could mask and airbrush them, but life's too short for doing this. You'd be here forever masking all these tiny parts. So for me, the larger end is red, the smaller end is blue. Whether you think that's right or wrong, that's your prerogative. Bobby Brown would be proud of that one. I think it was in the Did That song. But for me, I'm going red on the big part, blue on the smaller. So just going through, there's several to do on this one part. It is mostly fittings by the look of it. And then coming in with the blue later. And then we put it to one side for half hour to dry. Finish off that cup of tea I've got there. And we can get it in place. So somebody asked me, I think it was actually Luke Harswell said, now I've made a good start on the kit, what am I thinking of it so far? And obviously I'm a bit further ahead than this. I've done another week's work or so to get all the rear differential, suspension, brakes all together, the chassis painted, and so far I'm really enjoying it. I went back to the BMW A50 to work on some parts, and just a day of sanding the plastic part, I was down on the dumps sulking, so I came straight back to this and carried on. But really enjoying it. Is it worth the money? I think it is. It's a lot of money. This kit owes me £640. It's a lot of money, but is it worth it? Yeah, I'm really enjoying this build. I'm certainly looking to get another one when I can. Maybe the 037 Lancia or the Lancia Beta, or maybe, broaden the horizons a bit and have a little look around. But really enjoying it. I think they are worth the money. They're a very technical kit. It's certainly the ultimate model kit that I'll ever build. Because other than this, you're talking scratch building, making your own parts, what have you. So for me, this is the ultimate model kit, and I'm having fun building it. I really am. I'm actually looking forward to getting in the cave in the morning and coming out and starting it. So yeah, really enjoying this. And I've even managed to rope somebody else into starting one of theirs. Paul J. Lewis started his Ferrari 512. So it's good to see as a bad influence. I've got other people involved as well. So I hope your build goes well. Paul's currently in a hangout. I can see him in the hangout right now, but I'm muted doing this. He joined our hangout for the first time today, and hopefully he'll enjoy it too. So we put the anodized pipe in there. As you see, we just had to bend the white metal to get everything to fit properly. Widen this hole, and there's a little anodized fitting that goes in there. These are all for later down the line, where we'll have some fittings to go in there. And then this arm, I always wanted to do it in a gold colour, so I've got some, it's probably like LP71, the champagne gold colour. In fact, I've got it right in front of me. It is LP71 champagne gold. I'm just going to lightly brush paint this, just add a bit of tonal difference, a little bit of visual interest. Obviously, we were also talking to myself and Jamie, who's also building this car, same scale, alongside me. We've got a bit of a buddy build on the go. If you want to use a bit of artistic impression, why not? Of course you can. It's your model. You can do whatever you want. And here we go. As I said, I made a right hash of these lines. First time we painted them on with the Molotow pens, I made a mistake by smudging it all with my finger. When I put it on the second time round, it went everywhere. So I had to repaint the rock covers. Now, as you can see, the paint I'm using now is water-based. This is Vallejo Model Air Silver. As you can see, I got a big smudge of it there, a wet bit of cotton bud, and off it comes. I'm just going to hand paint it in this. But funny story, this isn't the final time I'm going to paint this, because later on when I put a wash on, when I wipe the wash off, it takes off half the paint as well. So we actually end up doing this 4 times in total. 4 times. And I'll be honest, this looks the best way. The way I'm doing it now, it looks better than the Molotow. The Molotow is a little bit too chrome, but this was a good 20 minutes here of steady hand painting. And I've just sped it up because we'd be here all day looking at this. As you can see, if you do get a little bit of excess on, you can rub it off. No problem at all. But just some nice, gentle, careful painting. And it looked absolutely spot on. So there we go. Like I said, I've sped it up, but as long as you take your time, a little bit of care. And if you do get any excess through there, you can always wipe it off with a moist cotton bud. So there we go. There's that one. The back one's done now as well. We're just finishing off that. So I think this is a 00 brush. It's a Winsor Newton Series 7. Nice high quality brush. As you can see, we've got a little dab of paint on the end there. Just lick it or don't lick it as I didn't. And just very quickly wipe it off and it'll come off the lacquer paint with ease with no detrimental effects whatsoever. Right, spark plug covers. It's easy for me to say, isn't it? In place now. So these are rubber parts out of the kit. So I'm just trimming them off with my decal scissors. And we're going to drill a hole in the top. Pop these in place. And this is where our spark plug leads will go in at a later date. We're not going to do those just yet. But some nice careful drilling. Again, I would like to have drilled this before we painted everything. But in hindsight, there's a few things we've forgotten to drill. And that trend's going to continue throughout the build because I carried on over the back end after painting everything thinking, oh, that needs drilling as well, because it's such a complex kit, it's hard to keep track of everything. It has no detrimental effect drilling it afterwards, because if you're drilling it, you put something in the hole anyway. So it really isn't the end of the world, but obviously we're better doing all our prep work beforehand. But these fit in really well. Little dab of Bob Smith glue, line them up, pop them in place, make sure they're glued in. There we go. We've got another 4 for the other end later on as well, which we'll do when the engine's in place. Looking forward to get this engine in the car. It's going to look good when it's in. Nearly lost that one then. And then there we go. Push it fully home. Good to go. And then we've got some more of our fittings. Now we did paint these, and after painting it, I can see seam lines. So we're going to have to sand these as well. Not a problem, because where I'm sanding, we're going to paint it in blue and red anyway. So it's not the end of the world. Technically, I didn't really have to paint these because they're already silver. I just did it while I had the spray can out anyway. So yeah, each one of these going to need cleaning up. And there's quite a lot of them on the car, but for now, we only need 4 or 5 of them. Cut them off with my Tamiya side cutters, which I shouldn't do really. It is soft metal, but I was using my Zorons, which are my older pair, rather than the good Tamiyas. And there we go, same as before, painting them red and blue with the LP 52 and 68. Just pause to have a look on my paint rack. And again, nice detail brush from Winsor Newton. And just some careful brush painting. There's always something still nice about brush painting. It's very cathartic. It is like a throwback to your roots, and it is quite nice to do. I wouldn't want to do it all the time, but doing small parts like this, to mask these would be crazy. It really would. You'd be here all day masking these, and it's just not worth it. So brush painting is nice sometimes. Right, going through the box of bits, and we're looking for some of the braided line. Now, I was thinking of replacing the braided line with some of the Tamiya stuff. I haven't got a lot of it. So I decided to go with the modified Hiro. There's seams both sides. And when I looked at it, I thought, should I sand it? And I thought, you know what? No, it's going to scrape the knife. If we sand it, we're going to lose a lot of the detail. Whereas if we just go careful with the knife, we'll just lose the raised line and maybe just a little bit of surface area. If we sand it, we're going to lose a lot of it. So that was the idea. So I've scraped off the mold lines, and then I flattened the end with a file. I'm just weighing it up because this needs bending in several directions. So a little bit of trial and error here until we get it roughly to the shape we want. The great news is you can bend it back. It does straighten up pretty well. What we're going to do is get the rough shape for now, and then we'll straighten everything out, make sure the pipes are straight. So once you're happy, drill the ends. It's a bit tricky to do this, so take your time and watch your fingers. If you slip with that drill bit, oh my god, it hurts. It really does. I've done it a few times now, and it is painful. One thing I will say about these kits, even with all the parts cleaned up, they are messy kits to work on. My hands are constantly covered in black from the white metal. I've got all sorts of crap up my fingernails, and it just won't come off. I'm literally scrubbing my fingernails, and it's staying up there. I think it's a mix of like bleach, just everything I've used to clean. I haven't used any bleach, I was exaggerating there, but I think it's like the vinegar, all the other clean detergents, the white metal swarf, it's just all up there. And yeah, I've been cleaning my fingernails and I just can't get it off. Absolutely terrible. That is my one main complaint. The cleanup is unbelievably messy on this. Now, fun story. See that then? When I cut that wire pinged off and I never saw it again. I still don't know where it went. It's behind everything over there somewhere. I'm going to have to find it. But it pinged off and I could never find it. So all these little fittings are all going to go on now. Not all of them are going to be connected up. Some of them will be later on when we get the engine in place in the car. But we're going to get them all on because they are fiddly. And obviously we can't drill these when they're in the car. So some careful drilling, careful CA application. We'll get all these fittings in place and then we can connect everything up later. This one though, this is going to take our braided line. It's a pipe from the turbo housing to the engine somewhere. I don't know what it is, to be honest. But some careful CA glue application. we can get it all in place. So would the Tamiya braided line be any better? I honestly don't know. It's a bit of a pain, the Tamiya stuff. I've used it before. I used it on the Caterham. When you cut the ends of it, it frays. So it's very, very hard to get a clean edge. But it does look more realistic. Now, the other problem is it doesn't really bend to shape like this size. You'd have trouble getting the shape out of it. So I don't know. I think this might be the better option. Once we get a wash on this, I think it'll look a lot better. There you go. Look, so obviously my measurement's off there. So I bent it straight. Just using my tweezers. These decal tweezers from Tamiya's are like the Swiss Army tweezers. You can use them for all sorts of stuff. They are brilliant. I'm just lining up the hole where I've drilled already, lining up that side, and just getting it so it's all straight, level, and just where we want it. It does take a bit of trial and error. This needs to be the motto of this kit. Trial and error, test fit, test fit, test fit, because as I found out today, a lot of stuff needs a lot of fettling to get it to fit. I've been doing all the suspension arms on the back, and they need a lot of work. Like I say, more and more hose fittings to go on. This is fiddly work. It's almost like brain surgeon accuracy. That's easy for me to say. But yeah, it certainly is a very interesting subject to work on. Start with the engine's a good point because it really gets you hungry for the rest of the build. It really, really does. Once you see this come together, you're like, wow. And it just gives you a kind of a hint as to what's coming up. Myself and Jamie ordered some paint today. We've got the Lancia, proper Lancia Bianco white coming from Paint Nuts. I'm certainly hoping that's the correct colour. I think it is. All my carbon fibres come for the floor and the back of the seats or what have you. So we're pretty much good to go now. Pretty much good to go with everything we need. So I'm going to get into part 4 up next, which is going to cover all the rear end differential, rear suspension, brakes and what have you. And then we're going to focus on the bodywork. I've test fitted a lot of the bodywork. I've already got a small section of video for that. Those front wings that didn't fit now fit. A little bit of fettling. And we're going to get all the body panels all lined up. And then we'll get some primer down on those. So we're going to work off that side by side. Panel line wash now. I've got the usual Tamiya panel line wash. We're going to thin this quite heavily with Winsor Newton Sansador Odorless Mineral Spirits. I've got a larger brush today because I'm not faffing around with that tiny little brush on this thing. And I've sped this up. We're going to go round and put a wash anywhere and everywhere it'll hold a wash. Now, the only place I don't want to really filthy off is that red rocker cover. And that's it. I'm going to put a wash on there, but I want to clean most of it off. And that's where the issues come from with wiping off the bloody silver trim. So you'll see that in a little bit if you watch me do it. So we are going to have to put it on for a third time, well, fourth time technically. But the panel line wash, enamel paints, well, it's enamel wash over lacquer paint, no problem at all. Over the water-based paint, it was a little bit of abrasion off a cotton bud. It will take it off, but it probably would with water, to be fair. But it's going to go around, give this a wash, and this will bring the engine to life. It'll just add a bit of depth to it, interest. It'll bring all the highlights out, and it does make a huge difference. And my motto is, if it'll hold a wash, give it a wash. 100%, give it a wash. That right there was a big mistake. Over the top, I shouldn't have done that. But hey, learn by your mistakes, own them. And yeah, we'll fix that in a little bit. Because as soon as I wipe that off in a bit of a cotton bud, all that silver paint comes off. We painted on earlier. So we wipe it all off and start again for the fourth time. Like I say, if it holds a wash, my motto is give it a wash. So get it in there. Leave this a good half hour to dry. We get a nice clean cotton bud with some fresh Sansador Odorless Mineral Spirits on it. And we'll just go around and try and remove as much of the wash as we can whilst leaving it in all the recesses and gaps. And it just adds so much depth to the model. It's the one thing I'd always recommend. I see so many beautifully clean built models. And when I say clean, I mean without mistakes. Beautiful, nice clean models, but there's no depth to any of the areas of metalwork or the paint. And just this, well, only takes 40 minutes in total. By adding it, letting it dry and wiping it off, it's 40 minutes. And for half an hour of that, you're sitting there doing nothing. You're waiting for it to dry. It adds such a depth to it. So if you've never added a wash before, try it. You'll be pleasantly surprised how good it'll make things look. Because even just now, adding this dirty look. Now, the beautiful thing about the white metal is, it is cast. It has casting marks in it. Where the wash goes over and you wipe it off, it holds in the casting marks like the real metal would. And it looks really, really good. It's one thing I saw as I was wiping things off. And but one of the biggest tips for anything, add a wash. If you can, put a wash on it, because it does make a huge amount of difference. So like I say, a bit laborious going around, but with this bigger brush, it's a lot easier. We're not really particularly bothered where it goes. I want to wash everywhere. So we're just going to go around until we've got it all equally covered. Like I say, enamel based takes, depending on the heat, humidity, how much you put on. It takes about half an hour to dry. So give it a good half hour, 40 minutes, and then come back and wipe it all off. As you can see, we get it on that braided line. And again, it's depth to it and just looks really good. And here we go, wiping it off half an hour later. We've got a clean, fresh cotton bud. Tiniest little bit of Santador on there. I'm just going to go around and wipe it off all the major areas where we don't want to wash. So basically, if it's a flat area with no surface detail, we kind of want to wash off. Now the beauty is, it will leave a bit of wash behind. It can add a bit of a stain, so it does have a nice weathered look. And here we are. After the wash is dried, we're going to repaint this again. So 4-time lucky, hey? 4-time lucky. So yes, lessons learned. Maybe do this at the end, numbnuts. That is my lesson learned for today. And there we go. That's them all painted up. Engine's got a beautiful wash on it. And here we go. There's some video of it. And I've got some pictures too. Now, this isn't finished. It's far from finished. But this is at the stage where we're going to take it today. You can see the wash adds a lot of depth to all those recessed areas. You can see the casting marks on some of the parts have held the wash in as well. And there's still a few more bits we need to remove. But this is just where we're leaving it today. Like I say, this is far from finished. There is a lot more to do to this. But that is for further down in the instructions. We've got a lot more work to do in the meantime before we can get to that. And then we've got all the intercooler, the intake, the mass airflow sensor, all sorts of stuff still to put on, all the wiring, hoses and what have you. But it's looking good. I'm happy how it's turned out. Beautiful metallic colours. Mr. Hobby Super Metallics and the Tamiya LPs and TSs working wonderful. I think I've picked pretty much the right tones for everything. I'm certainly happy with it. And I think it looks great. And there's some still pictures as well. So if you've got any comments or suggestions, pop them down below. Always happy to hear them. Obviously, bear in mind it's not finished. It definitely is not finished yet. But I'm looking forward to really cracking on with this build. And I really can't wait to get this engine in place. Like I say, those drive shafts are the wrong ones. It should be the shorter ones on the front and the longer ones on the back. Thankfully, I only PVA glued these in and they popped straight back out with no drama whatsoever. So thankfully we didn't commit to CA glue because that would have been a nightmare. But loving the grimy look that the wash is given. Like I said, we've got a few areas where a bit more wash needs removing. Probably a few more areas where a bit more wash needs adding. We've got all the wiring, hoses to add. Lots of other ancillary parts to go on, all the plug leads to go on. So it's far from finished, but it's certainly a very good start on this part 3 of our epic Model Factory Hero Lancia Delta Integrale Evo 92 build. So I hope you stick around and you join me again for part 4 in a week or so. Right then, there we go. So that's where we're at today. Hopefully you're still sticking with me. Like I said, we are going to go in depth on this, so it is going to be a little bit more hanging around on the boring bits, I suppose, in a way. But, you know, as I said, I want to share the journey with you guys and girls out there. So hopefully you're going to stick with me and go through the build as well. So, spoiler alert, as I said in there's where I'm at the minute. You can have a preview. Look. Ooh. Oh, brakes, chassis done. A lot. Spoiler alert, that's part 4, that is. So most of that's filmed. I've got some other parts here. We've got the fuel tanks and what have you. All the front suspension's done, but it can't go on yet because of the front engine components aren't done yet. So we can't put those on just yet. But part 4 should be up less than a week. A couple of days work left on it to do. And I think less than a week. And then we're going to focus on the body. And we're going to try and get that body ready for primer. I don't think it'll be prepped quite for primer, because we've got a lot of adjustments to make on it still. I've already started. I can't put this thing down. I start working on the BMW 50, cleaned up, oh my god, about 90 odd parts for all the engine and that the other day. I was just bored. I said, I don't want to work on this. I want to work on that. So I went back to it and I've been working on it ever since. So if you've been on the live streams in the morning, you will have seen me working on it. Nearly swore a few times this afternoon. That rear suspension's a bit tricky, but anyway, that's where we're at today with the engine done. We've still got lots to add to the engine, but that's further on in the build, and that's where we're going to leave it today. So I hope you've enjoyed that. As always, if you'd like to support the channel, support the videos, there's a Patreon Buy Me a Coffee link and a PayPal me link in the description down below. If you become tier 2 or higher on the Patreon, you get 2-week early access on the videos, so you see them 2 weeks for everybody else. And if you become a patron full stop, you get 2 weekly exclusive live streams on a Wednesday and a Friday morning, which are recorded. You can watch them back as well. And you also get to know that you are keeping these videos going and all the live streams going as well. So as always, I thank all my patrons and supporters. Without this, I couldn't do it without you. So thank you all very much. Make sure you check out all the other links in the description. I'm going to update my Amazon storefront so you can see all the new glues and products I've added in there. And there's links in there to everything ISM related, UMP retail, my own Paul ISM modelling page, my scale mate if you want to add me on there, look through my stash. There's an email address to contact me as well. And my Amazon affiliate stores there as well, which is kind of working out. I pay 27 pence currently. Thank you all. And my product list is there for everything I use. So if you've seen something in these videos, you'll probably find it in that list. There we are. So that's where we're at today. We'll be back soon with another video. I'm not sure what it's going to be. Might be the BMW. I think I'm going to have to get a BMW video out there. And I've got some reviews to do. So stay tuned. You're going to see a lot more videos from me. As always, click that bell notification if you're not sub to us, so you get notified of the latest videos. Subscribe to us, hit the thumbs up or the thumbs down, and leave a comment. Do appreciate all your comments, read every single one. If you're a patron over on the Patreon stream, you get a personalised reply. And everybody else, I give you a heart because I haven't got time to go through them all. There's so many comments. But I appreciate every single one, and they spur me along with the build. They really do. I respond if you ask me a question, of course. But they really do spare along the build. It's a good bit of feedback. And it's always nice to get a bit of feedback from you guys and girls out there. So there we are. Enough waffle. So yes, I'm currently looking around at more Model Factory Hero kits. Not got the money to buy one, but I'm looking around. I really want to add another one to the stash. If you're thinking about getting one, what one are you thinking about getting? Let me know in the comments down below. Enjoy the rest of the evening, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.